right? So grab a pen or a marker. Just make sure you're honest. A goalie kicks the ball, a soccer ball, and reaches a maximum height of 20 meters after 1.85 seconds. The coach would like to model the path of the ball in order to help his players position themselves accordingly. The sequence ends once the ball hits the ground. So it's actually, right, the scenario, right, the story ends, right, the modeling ends when the ball hits the ground. Sketch the scenario and clearly label 3 points, and then come up with a quadratic equation. Usually, sorry, these two are combined 1 mark. Okay, but today we're going to be a little nicer here. So this is we have time and height. Sometimes it's distance and height. Okay. So we're starting on the ground. It's a soccer ball, right? You're hitting it up and then it hits the ground here at some point. So there are 3 points that we're interested in. The ones that are across each other and the vertex. Vertex is given, right? So 1.85, 20. Label 3 points. So that's the first point. 0, 0 is a given. And so basically we're going to take this, multiply that by 2 to get our third point, which is 3.7, right? Or 70, and back to 0, right? So these are my 3 points that I'm after. This one would be worth a full mark, right? So it'll be half, half, and another mark for this one. And so that's where you get the 2 marks from. Then B, right? You just go stat, calc, quadratic regression, and you type that in and you get negative 84x squared plus 21.62x. Right? And I would assume you use these points. So I'll tell you this: if you make like a mistake here, we'd take off -1 right away, right? And then if the whole thing just doesn't make any sense, -2, right? But then I would still give you the mark for equation, provided that if I enter the points you have, it gives exactly this, you would still get the marks for B. Okay. C, what's the domain and range? Well, my domain is, I don't even need to use my calculator for that. 0, 3.70, or whatever you decide it needs to go here, right? So if you have 40, 0 here, which could happen, right? If you mix these up, then I would expect to see 40 here. So I would still mark it wrong, but then next to it, you're like, hey, but the step is right. It's not what we're looking for. It's not going to match the key, but it is what it is. And range, right? We're obviously the lowest we can get is 0, and the highest we can get is 20. So 1 mark for each, including brackets, including the right order, all of that would be here. Okay. And of course, if you mixed up these 2 values here, then it's going to be, let's see here, the domain would be 0 to 40, and this would be 0 to 1.85, right? So that's what I would be looking for there. Okay, so 5 marks for that question. Then the next here, a circus act involves a clown being launched out of a cannon into a small pool of water some distance away. Pool must be placed accurately or the clown will hit the ground. There's a maximum height mentioned here, reaches a maximum height of 15 meters from the ground, and that'd be 6 meters horizontally. So they give you both coordinates for the vertex there. The cannon is placed on a platform that is 4 meters off the ground. That is important as well. So we're not starting on the ground, we're starting off the ground. Sketch and label 3 points. In this case, you have distance and height. You don't have a time here. It's not being included. So we're starting somewhere here We go up, and then ideally we want to land in this pool, right? We don't know yet if we're gonna. So we have 2 points that are across each other and this point there. So this would be 0, 4. This would be 6, 15, right? Because at a distance of 6 from the cannon, we reach the maximum height of 15. And then, of course, we take the 6, multiply it by 2 to get 12, and then back to 4. Not 12, 0, 12, 4, right? So that third point, this one here, is worth a full mark, and then this one would be half and half if you did that right. So 2 marks for A today, right? Normally this is worth 1, and the quadratic is also worth 1, but I wanted to make sure we did this right. So B, what's a quadratic equation that models this scenario, that models distance over height? If I mention it that way, it shouldn't throw you off. So stat calc quadreg, and you get, let's see here, negative 0.31 x squared plus 3.67 x plus 4. Somebody gonna challenge me on the 0.31? Is that good? Because I have mine rounded to 3 decimals, but I wasn't quite sure. Okay, so that's our quadratic equation. We're good. See what's the height, what is the height at a horizontal distance of 7.5, right? So basically for C, right, I need to use second trace value, right? And then I will let x equal to 7.5 because they tell me basically the horizontal distance represents my x variable. So I need to find the y. And that would be 14.31 meters. You got to make sure that one has units attached to it. 14.3. So if you did, obviously if your equation is wrong, but if you show me the keystrokes and that you're entering this into x, your answer will be different. But again, you wouldn't be losing marks, you would still be getting full marks, provided you have your units and all of that there. So I go X if it's wrong, if it doesn't match mine, but I go check for step if you've shown me, right, all of these things here. D, how far away from the cannon does the pool need to be placed? And so basically we're going to find this x-intercept here, right? Not this one here, we don't care about that one, but this one here we do care about. So y2 is equal to 0, second trace 5 for intersect. And let me just scroll this down. I get 13.010. So this tells us that it needs to be placed 13.01 meters away from the cannon. Okay. Right, so the x-intercept here gives us the distance away from the cannon, right? So that's somewhere where the pool needs to be placed. Obviously the center of it, right? Got it? Next, E, state the domain and range. We're running, that's pretty tight here in terms of space. So for the domain, distance 0 all the way to this x-intercept. So I kind of expected you to grab this answer, plug it in here. Okay. For the range, the lowest we get is 0, the highest we get is 15. Right, that's the highest y value, and then obviously this is, the pool would still represent 0. So sometimes we are avoiding little nuances, right? You would probably argue, well, there's some water and there won't quite hit the ground, but don't overthink it either, right? Like you don't know enough, you don't have enough information for that. So 1 and 1, right? And last, F. Give one example of an equation that would result and the clown flying past the pool. I don't know how you did this, but I'm going to give you one example here. I changed the A value here. So I went negative 0.2. Let me see here. I have to test this one. So I kept everything else intact. I just changed that one. So let me just quickly negative 0.31x squared plus 3.67x plus 4. And then this one, I'm just typing it in. So the red one is the one I just made up. So I'm going to have to go zoom 6 here. Oops. So the red one, see the red one, I changed A like that and it made it go past it. So it decreased it. So this one will be a little narrower than this one, right? The bigger A is, the narrower it is. So this is wider. Anybody try something else? The B and the C? Okay, so I would have to have Desmos open and I would check if you were right. So just mark it right. If you saw it on your screen, right? Poor clown, right? Wouldn't end up well. Oh, time is running. We're running out of time. So this page is worth 13. All right, like so everything. If you add up everything here, you get 13 total. So let's put that at the bottom of this page here. And I asked you to do the quadratic formula. So I'm just going to show you the answer, maybe. Yeah, I'll show you the answer because we're running out of time. So I hope this made sense. If you made a mistake, learn from it, right? Be ready for tomorrow. So here's your quadratic formula. You should have that on your study sheet. I skipped some steps here, so I don't know if you recognize, right? The 12x squared is when you multiply everything by 2, you get 12x squared, negative 250x, and you get 150 as your constant, right? I just changed that for you, so that's why it's a little different. I wonder if I should work that out real quick here for you. Maybe I'll do that, at least for the first one. So we get 32x squared minus 15x plus 50 is equal to this. Okay, so you need to distribute that out. So 32x squared minus 15x plus 50, and then it's 2 times 6, that's 12x squared plus 250x plus 150. And I'm going to bring the x squares over, so 32x squared minus 12x squared. I'm going to underline my x's here, minus 15x minus 250x, and then it's plus 50. Bring this one over, minus 150 is equal to 0. Okay, so this is part of it, and then here we go. This is the continuation of that. When you clean this all up, right, when you clean this up, you get 20x squared minus 265x minus 100. Then you have your ABC out of that. You got to make sure you put things in brackets, right? Because this is saying negative b. So b happens to be negative as well. So that turns into a positive. Then I go, if you don't put negative 265 in brackets before squaring it, it's going to stay negative. So you got to make sure you put it in brackets. minus 4 times A times C divided by 2 times A. I would give you 1 mark if you can have the condensed, right? All combined, the like terms are combined. You get 1 mark already. You get another mark for showing me how you entered it and getting it to this point right here. That's another mark. And then I'll give you another mark for coming up with the 2 roots. So let's say you messed up A, B, and C. That's a -1 right away. Then I would have to check, are you plugging it in right? If you are, you would get this mark. And then if you did the next part right, you would get the second mark. So you could still get 2 out of 3 even though you got A, B, C wrong. You still can get 2 out of 3. So today you're the teacher, you decide what you're going to give yourselves there. And then for the next one, I'm just going to show you the answer for the Belgos. I feel like I'm fighting time here. You actually get a 0 inside the root, which means it's only 1 x-intercept, right? It's just 5, 0. So if you did that right, you get, this is only worth 2 marks because you didn't have to do the branching off, right? So 3 and 2, that's 5, right? So add 5 to the 13, making this a total of 18, the AC, okay? So this is actually worth 18 marks with the quadratic formula added. Before I go, if you want to prepare for the quiz, just try all the types, but go to page 92. It says all 4 types review worksheet. I already posted the answer key if you want. If you've already done everything, you need more. So that's for tomorrow's quiz. Yeah, I'll take it.